Holy shit, guys, this chapter. Can you believe that? I know for some of you out there that haven't read the chapter yet, because I know some of you will, just watch my reviews to find out what's going on in the chapter. I'll just fill you in right now. I'm gonna break the system I usually do with the reviews here. But so the fire tank pirates, they take out those big rocket launchers. They fire them at Big Mom, and they work. They freaking work. They pierce her. They pump her ass full of poison, right? And you think, oh man, Big Mom's going down, and she does. She begins to fall off a whole cake plateau, and her giant ass crashes down so fucking hard with such an impact, it's equivalent to a freaking meteor. And the shockwaves of that thing just completely destroy the entire island. The whole island just gets crumbled and falls into the sea, and Luffy and all the other Devil Fruit users, they fall in the sea and they die. Luffy's dead, and the shockwave from Big Mom's ass creates a giant tsunami that swallows the entire New World. All of the other Yonko, their islands are destroyed. They're all dead. Freaking the Red Line begins to crumble. Marie-Joie falls into the ocean. And then Eneru comes down. Yeah, Eneru comes down from the moon, and he's like ready to take over the world, but it's all destroyed. It's all gone because of Big Mom's ass. And that's it. That's the end of the chapter. I don't know how Oda's going to go about this next week, but it's pretty intense, I'll tell you. I'm really expecting to see Eneru repopulate the Earth with his little army of automata. That'll be pretty sweet. That'll be the new main character, I guess. Whatever. I guess I'll deal with that. I mean, I guess it's worse people we could have ended up with. Okay, hey everybody, Tekking101 here. This will be One Piece Chapter 868 review, the KX Launcher. The cover page for this chapter, pretty damn sweet. We have the conclusion of, I guess, Cavendish's little cover story there. We're going to probably move on to another member. If I remember correctly, the different Straw Hat Grand Fleet members, they drew lots to determine the order that they would be in, like revered as the fleet. And I think Cavendish was number 1 and Bartolomeo was number 2. So Bartolomeo's might very well be the next one up. So that'll be pretty cool. But essentially, yeah, Cavendish, the whole reason he was explaining this backstory with him on this kingdom and why he had to flee was because, I guess, some of Cavendish's groupies, they loved him so much, they actually left the island and became pirates to try to find him. And so some pirate ships were approaching Cavendish's pirate crew, and Surimon, he comes up and he's like, oh, I think I should attack them, Commander. And he's like, no, don't worry about it. Let me just tell they're just my groupies. Let me tell you a little story. And then that's where that comes from. And then at the end of the story, Surimon's just like, that the story was way too long. I am Russian, I guess, or Ukrainian. I don't know which. But anyway, let's just continue with the chapter here. So, yeah, we get a little bit more of the flashback. It hasn't exactly ended yet, although we do have, like, stages where we cut to the present and then to the past, just to kind of finish up the flashback a little bit here, to ease us back into the story. So you have, of course, Big Mom still letting out the death screech, all the other members of the Tea Party are, like, holding their ears. Sanji just kind of standing there looking pretty badass and cool. We go back in time to the moment right after Big Mom, nom-nommed on all of the other children in the Lamb's house and on Mother Caramel. And in case you were a little bit dubious as to whether or not that actually happened, like, no way, she didn't actually eat them. There must be something else going on here. No, it's been confirmed she pretty much ate them. You have 2 bystanders that observed the events unfold. One of them was a giant of Elbaf, and he was just kind of arriving on the island to see what's going on with the Lamb's house. I guess he was really good friends with Mother Caramel, and he just wanted to see what was going on. So he stops by. He was hiding behind some rocks during Big Mom's, her birthday party, and shoveling all the freaking the semla into her face. So then he sees what happens, freaking just bites down on all the children and Mother Caramel, so he's like traumatized. So he runs back to his ship, flees back to Elbaf, and relays to the other giants just what a horrible demon that Charlotte Linlin is. And then that will hollow through the ages and the decades of the hatred that the giants have for Big Mom. So that's the origin of that. The other bystander was actually a former chef and a kind of like a washed up pirate who was just chilling out on the island. Oh, by the way, forgot to mention this, and I didn't even, Sawyer I think is the first person that mentioned this, so good on you, buddy. But it was actually revealed that the island they're on right now, the island that they relocated the Lamb's house to, that's actually going to be Whole Cake Island, because you can tell that the hills in the background are very similar to the hills when we get to Whole Cake. So, yeah, it's the same island that they basically stayed on, and it would make sense why Big Mom would make that her, her base of operations, because, throughout most of her adolescence, she was probably under the impression that, like, oh yeah, Mother Caramel just left. She'll come back someday, so we gotta stay here. That might also hint that the Lamb's house might be still on Whole Cake Island somewhere. Maybe it's in a dilapidated state, or maybe Big Mom wanted to keep it pristine. Maybe it serves a purpose, but it's somewhere on the island. That'd be pretty cool if, like, while they're leaving the island, Luffy runs across it and is like, whoa, what's this broken down building? Oh, whatever, just keep on going. It'd be cool just to kind of see it after 60-something years, but, past meets the future and all that crap. But anyway, the other witness to Big Mom's Hannibal Lecter kind of tendencies was, in fact, Streusen. Yeah, Streusen. Remember, he was the head chef who was in charge of creating the epic wedding cake, the one that did that, oh, the hard knock life is whatever, but, sugar will live on. This is the ultimate wedding cake. He was doing that little chant, and he was crying, and he's like, this is a great wedding cake. Yeah, so he was like a washed-up pirate that was just living on that island for a while now, and he's revealed to actually have a devil fruit ability, paramecia type, the Cuckoo no Mi, also known as the Cook fruit. So, this is actually a really cool ability. This was like a devil fruit I could actually see myself getting, and that would be pretty handy. It would be really handy for like Sanji or somebody to have, so maybe there's a theory there, I don't know. But the Cuckoo no Mi allows him to turn any inanimate object into an ingredient. So how Streusen does it is he just takes out like a regular log, takes out a knife, and begins to cut the log, and as he's cutting the log, it turns into like meat or salami or something. It turns into food, and then he just takes the food and just eats it. So, I mean, you have this fruit, you will never go hungry again. You could eat rocks. You could take a rock and turn it into a fucking, a cupcake or something, and like, here's a freaking stick, it's a hot dog, a piece of sausage, like, whatever. And I don't know if it's dependent on any kind of food. Like, it's sort of like the same issue you get to Baby 5. It's like Baby 5 is able to turn into weapons. I'm like, okay, is it limited to any weapon that is in existence, or any weapon that she's personally seen or touched or used? In the case with Streusen, is it like, can I turn anything into anything? Can I turn this little pebble into a huge pizza? Does it have to be, in general, the same kind of size? How does that work? But it's pretty handy, and anyway, it explains on how Big Mom was able to be satiated for so long, considering that she was on an island with nobody else. She's not on like a deserted island. You think that she was on a deserted island, and then Mother Caramel and everybody else disappears, there's no one to make her food, she would just go crazy and just the entire island would be destroyed. That's not the case. So, whereas the giant from Elbaf was, like, horrified by what happened, Streusen was laughing his ass off. He was like, oh my god, that giant girl ate her friends and her mom. That was great. Oh, yeah, so that was Streusen. But then he's like, oh, wait a second, I've never seen a monster like this before. I can kind of have fun with this, It's interesting, because you'd think at first Streusen would be like, I'm gonna manipulate that woman to get great power and prestige, but it doesn't seem like that. It seems like Streusen just kind of wants to have fun. He's just like, oh, well, I could fuck around with her. This will be kind of fun, So he goes up to her, marches up to Big Mom, who's bawling her eyes out because, her mother left and everything. And Streusen's like, hey there, yeah, little girl. Yeah, little girl. How about we talk about our dreams? What's going on? You can stick with me, but, your mother, she'll probably come back someday, but you can stick with me until then. You'll never go hungry as long as I'm around. Everything will be chill. Which, though, begs the question on how, way back, during the beginning of Totland, when Big Mom was going through her hunger rage because nobody had a Crocem bush, you'd think that with Streusen's ability, he could just, like, you know, take a bunch of bricks and turn them into a croquem bush, but maybe he wasn't around, maybe he was busy doing the cake, so maybe that makes sense. But yeah, so that's the reason why Big Mom was able to be satiated for so long, you know, because Streusen was around there. And I'm also, am I the only one that's sort of getting like a Bobbity and Majin Buu kind of vibe from these two? You have Streusen here, who's just kind of like the brains of the operation, and then you have Big Mom, who's just this big, large being that's just, you know, adept for absolute destruction and very simple in terms of the way they think. Although the difference, of course, is Bobbity was trying to like use Majin Buu to destroy the world. Streusen just seems like he's there just to kill time, you know? And thus, the Big Mom Pirates were formed that day. You have Charlotte Linlin as Streusen as the first members there. So then we cut back to the present very briefly, where we see Streusen, you know, looking over at Big Mom and just like, Linlin, you need to get your senses because they're gonna try to kill you, right? So then we have Beijay and Vito and the other guy on the Fire Tank Pirates I always forget. I think his name starts with a G, whatever the fuck. You know, they all break out their freaking KX RPG rocket launchers and they just fire them straight at Big Mom, and you think, here we go, everything's planned perfectly, we got the 5 seconds, everyone's delayed, nobody's moving, all the Big Mom Pirates are succumb to their screaming, they whip out the rocket launchers, they take their shots, you have Caesar over in the corner that's about to fucking, you know, have an orgasm, I don't know what the fuck, you have Nami and Carrot there with Sanji, you have Smoothie and Oven and all the other higher ranking members of the Big Mom Pirates, they're standing there like, no! And Luffy and Jinbei, their interpretation, you know, Pudding's holding her ears, but she keeps 2 of her eyes open out of the 3. Like, what's gonna go down? We get another flashback. That's most what this chapter is. Big excitement and then flashback, and then oh man, and then flashback. That's how Oda does it. Whatever, it's cool. We find out by the end of the chapter, so it's all good. It's fine. He's not cock teasing us too bad. So the whole deal with Streusen and Big Mom, you know, they're sitting on top of the Lamb's house, and it's sort of like Big Mom doesn't understand like metaphors or like ideas or concepts in that way. She can only determine things very literally. So, you know, Streusen's like, oh, Big Mom, you know, Charlotte Linlin, you want peace, you want a world, we can do that, we can make a land where everyone is equal, no racial discrimination, everyone sees everyone eye to eye. But to Charlotte Linlin's mind, it's like, oh, everyone sees each other eye to eye, as in everybody is the same height as me. Everyone is the same as me. Everyone, you know, that's the way she views it. So a little bit broken in the sense of like actual, you know, equality there. And thus it begins her rampage there, where she believes, you know, someday Mother Caramel will come back, and it's my duty to follow in her dreams, to make a country that's full of peace and equality, and anybody that decides to go against that, any country that decides to not fall in line with that, well, they're just being selfish and we need to kill them. And you see a flash forward through the years there with Big Mom going and fighting and trying to get everybody to follow in her, you know, idea of this perfect country. You see Totland and Whole Cake Island begin to flourish. You see Big Mom's bounty begin to rise. You know, she was given a 50 million berry bounty probably when she was still only 5 years old, which is, you know, fairly impressive given that. You know, and then you see her a little bit older. Maybe she's like, I don't know, 10 or 11. At this point, she already had 500 million. So that's the same, you know, bounty that Law and Luffy have right now, when she was very clearly still an adolescent. So that's pretty sweet there. So her bounty, I always thought like how the bounties worked for Yonko, you know, because it seems like the Yonko are so powerful. Like what would the use of even giving them a bounty do or accomplish? You know what I mean? Like the whole point of like a bounty is like, hey, the world government wants this specific person dead. And, of course, the Marines are going to try to take them in and try to capture them. But, you know, we want the public, the general public, to know that they are the enemy. And so we'll put, like, a 10 million berry bounty on them. So if you're a bounty hunter, and you think you can bring them in, or if you're just a law-abiding citizen and you think you can bring them in, you think you can capture them, we'll give you 10 million berries if you can do that. That's the idea behind the bounty system. But it doesn't seem to make a lot of sense once you get to the Yonko, because it's like, you know, here's you know, red-haired Shanks, bounty, I don't know, 10 billion or something. Like, no bounty hunter is going to be able to bring that in. No regular person's going to bring that in. The only people that have a shot at bringing down Shanks would be the Marines, like, full fighting force, and I don't imagine the Marines, like, it's like, yeah, Aokiji and Kizaru, you brought Shanks in, alright, well, you get, you know, that they're already high-ranking admirals, well, no, Aokiji's not an admiral anymore, but, like, okay, Green Bull and Kizaru, you brought in Shanks, you know, like, does it really matter at that point? They're already high-ranking admirals, getting a lot of money is not really gonna matter to them at that point, and the other Yonko, and, like, the other Yonko are other pirates that could take on Shanks. But pirates don't get the bounty, so that's what I'm getting across here. Like, do the Yonko even have a bounty? You know, or do you think it gets to a cap? Like, there's a cap that, like, it doesn't get any higher than that, because that would just be ridiculous at that point. Like, okay, you know, after you get to, like, 10 billion, it's so much money, you know, does it even matter if it goes up any higher, you know? I don't think there's gonna be, like the bounty for Kaido, 100 trillion berries, like... Doesn't even matter, but in Big Mom's case, it's at least 500 million. It's obviously higher than that now. It's probably in the billions or the tens of billions, but you'd think at some point there'd be a fucking cap. That's all I'm saying. But anyway, yeah, we see her developing her soul power. She has Zeus and Prometheus behind her, probably in her late teens, early 20s at this point, stating, you know, give me the sweet treats, you know, the kind of attitude that she has now in the story, who she really became now has really come into fruition now at this point in her life. So we cut back to the present, where we see the KX launchers shooting at Big Mom. She's letting out a scream, and she's like, the last painting, the last picture of Mother Caramel we have, it's been broken, and she lets out, I guess, an even louder scream, or the scream gets more intense the closer it gets to her, obviously. So the KX bullets or missiles, they just explode prematurely. They just go off a little bit too early. And it's okay, though. It's okay. Obviously, the mafia boss that is Capone Beige, obviously he has a backup plan here, right? So we're gonna cut over to him and see him and the other fire tank pirates freaking the fuck out because they got no backup plan. Oh shit! Plan failed! Everybody out! Everybody get away! You know, it's not worth it, you know, bring out the mirror! So, yeah, that's how that went. Not saying I didn't expect that to happen. Like, I didn't expect her to die. You know, like, the best case scenario, the missiles hit her, they just don't do anything, you know, or something else happens. She regains her control at the last second, and the needles just bounce off her skin or whatever. But no, the stream was just too intense, and the KX launcher just explode. So, Beige and Vito and the other fire tank pirates, they hightail it out of there. They turn around immediately and be like, oh shit, we're screwed. So now it's Caesar's time, right? Caesar jumps over the wall, he's got Brûlé on his back, he's got the giant mirror, he's jumping in, and the mirror shatters. Oh, shit. And you know this is like an oh shit moment, because Luffy is freaking out. Look at that face. I mean, Luffy's the guy that's just like, okay, we'll break into the tea party, we'll do this and this and this, that's all great. I even have a great plan, guys. We'll jump out of the cake. He's acting, you know, he's acting like Luffy, how Luffy does. You know, he's not taking the plan super seriously. But then, the missile launchers don't work, and the mirror shatters, and even Luffy can realize, oh wait, we don't have a way to get out of here. Oh shit! You know, and then you have Nami that starts crying, you have Chopper. Jinbei just kind of looks like, oh well, I kind of knew this was gonna fucking happen. You know, isn't that the kind of expression you see Jinbei here? Like, oh well, called it, you know, whatever, but, anyway, the other members of the Big Mom Pirates, they begin to, get smart, you know, Charlotte, Dogtooth, you know, Katakuri, he takes his jelly beans, right, he uses that power, he creates a bunch of jelly beans, tosses them to his other, members, like Smoothie, and Oven, and Daifuku, and they all put the jelly beans in their ears to block out the sound, and they all just start marching toward the Straw Hats and the fire tank, they start cracking their knuckles, like, alright, time to take out the trash here at this old fucking tea party, you know? Like, they're like, oh crap, there's no way we were gonna win. And they kind of come to that realization, like, we're surrounded, there's no way out. Big Mom's screaming, we have the full force of the Big Mom Pirates here, highest ranking members. we're screwed. So the best that they could possibly do in this situation, as Katakuri and freaking Smoothie all begin to take out their weapons and ready to fight, we're never gonna win. So Beijay, you know, he raises up his hands with this weird, like he's praising the devil, and not necessarily praising the devil. He's only raising up like a certain number of like this. He's doing like this. And he says something in German, which I'm not going to attempt to say because I tried German. I thought something was German last chapter, and a bunch of people are like, Tekking, that's not fucking German. But hey, it says German right on the side, so I know this is German. I'm just not going to attempt to pronounce it. But it stands for a big father, of course. So then he's just like, all right, we don't have time. Everybody get in. You know, and then he raises up his hands, does the magic word thing, and then his entire body begins to morph into a fucking Megazord. Okay, it's a giant castle, but it might as well be a Megazord. Right, so this technique, of course, is referred to as Big Father. I would have preferred Big Daddy, because, come on now. You know, this is time to get in, guys. Come on, Big Daddy. And then he gets bigger and bigger and harder, and he's like, harder, daddy! Okay, whatever. Anyway, this is taking advantage of Beijay's Shiro no Mi, the castle fruit, to a whole new level. I don't want to say it's an awakening necessarily, because I just think it's like a natural ability that he would have. So, of course, Beijay's ability is basically to create like a pocket universe where there's an entire castle inside of him, or shrinking down an entire castle to the confines of his body, right? And he's able to take different advantages of the castle. You know, he's able to have like little drawbridges come out of him, cannons, tank treads, all this stuff that you would imagine a fortress or a stronghold, a castle has, right? And using this technique, it's just, you know, taking what's inside, like bigger on the inside to on the outside. So making, you know, the castle that's inside of him into, you know, him becoming the castle rather than the castle becoming him. So you have a giant freaking castle that's towering over Luffy and the others, and you see Beijay's face on it with him, you know, still smoking a cigar. You see, I'm assuming it's the tank treads that he used to escape Zou. I'm assuming the tank treads are on the bottom of this castle, how it can like move around and stuff. And you have an array of guns and fucking cannons and all this shit on it. So I'm going to assume now that like, all right, this is our final trump card. It's either this or it's either this or we die. You know, it's like, this is the only thing I can think of here. This isn't to guarantee we're going to win or escape, but it's the only thing we can do. So everyone's gonna pile into Beijay's castle, and then he's just gonna point like every single weapon, cannon, slingshot, rubber band that he's got in his freaking arsenal directly at either... I want to say he's going to point them directly at Big Mom, but that seems like a stupid thing to do considering what just happened. The smarter move would just be to aim at the ground. Just aim at all of the fucking members of the Big Mom Pirates and then just, like, bombard them. Just unload every last fucking cannon you got on that thing. And just, you know, worst case scenario, you know, it doesn't take anybody out. They manage to avoid all the gunfire and they storm the stronghold. You know, that's the worst case scenario. The best case scenario is you're not going to probably kill some of the heavy hitters like Smoothie or Katakuri, but you kick up enough debris, or at least you bombard them so much they have to scatter, and you manage to somehow get away. I don't know how they're going to get away because they're still on top of the freaking thing. This isn't like, I don't know if this is a fucking flying castle. I don't think this is like, I don't think Miyazaki designed this thing is what I'm saying. I don't think it could just like have a bunch of extendable like spider legs and like crawl down the side of the fucking Whole Cake Island. You know, I don't think that's going to be the case. So I still don't know how they're going to get out of here. But at least for the moment, they have like a barrier between them and the others. Although I'm sure that in this form, if Beijay gets damaged, like if they start chipping away at the stronghold, then that's when Beijay gets damaged too. So if they start cutting away at the mortar, then it's probably going to hurt Beijay. But it at least gives them something to go on here, you know, like, all right, now just unload on them all, just, you know, blast, and maybe the debris and the smoke will get us away. You know, come up with something. Come on, Beijay, you're a Mafia Don, you gotta have something up your sleeve, right? But yeah, I mean, or, hey, here's another idea, you know, Big Mom and freaking Big Daddy freaking Megazord battle. Did anyone ever think of that? Like Gundam or some shit? Like Big Mom comes out of her stupor and she's like, I'll never forgive you! And then like, roar! And then Beijay's like cannon arms and I don't know. I mean, like, obviously Oda's into that sort of thing, like with Battle Frankie and with the Tactics 15. He's into the whole giant mech robot fight anime shit, so we might get that. And then we have a moment where it's like a giant castle is fighting a giant woman, and everyone else is just kind of staring at it like, I don't even know what the fuck is going on anymore, you know, but that would be ridiculous and crazy, but I think it could fit in One Piece rather well. I mean, come on now. But other than that, really cool chapter. We found out about the origin of Big Mom's pirate crew, what her ambitions were, all for the sake of, you know, Mother Caramel's dream of peace. It was confirmed that she does indeed have the soul fruit now because she ate Mother Caramel. Streusen, you know, not somebody I was really interested in, but it's pretty cool that, you know, devil fruit was pretty neat. You know, and maybe, you know, a cook could maybe get that devil fruit and have cool powers with it. I don't know. I'm just throwing that idea out there. And then, of course, ending with Beijay's ability, which makes sense why he would have that, you know, maybe going to fight against Big Mom now in a giant castle form. And it's got me on the edge of the seat. This is a real white knuckler, because I don't know how they're going to escape from this. They can get in the castle, but they're still trapped on top of the freaking plateau. So I don't know how they're going to get away from here. But here's the deal. I'm trying to get away is they're going to escape. Of course they're going to escape. At least Luffy and Sanji, they're all going to get away. Big Mom is going to follow them till the edge of the earth, and that is going to be a lot of problems there. There's an idea that after this event, you know, Big Mom's going to want their blood. You know, not tomorrow, not next Tuesday, now. And so if Luffy and the gang are going to go to Wano, Big Mom's crew might go to Wano too, and then you have a confrontation between Big Mom and Kaido, which might result in that's how maybe the Straw Hats managed to free up Wano and get out of there while Kaido and Big Mom are in their middle of their fucking skirmish. That might be something there too, you know, because Big Mom's obviously not dead, as if anyone thought she was actually going to die in this arc. But yeah, that's maybe an idea of what can happen later on. Thanks you guys for watching, everybody. This will be Tekking101 signing out. Later, guys. Harder, Daddy.